Dave in Sandusky, dear Bishop Thomas, I hear in conversations people use priests' first names, like Father Rick and Father Paul, and it bothers me at times. As a young person, I always used the title of Father and his last name. I thought it was a sign of respect for his high position as the shepherd of the flock in our parish community. I know times have changed and things are much more casual nowadays, but with that in mind, is calling a priest by his first name disrespectful? Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for writing from Sandusky. Your singular question, is calling a priest by his first name disrespectful? My answer, not necessarily, and it depends on the circumstance. Let me give you a good number of examples here, Dave, if I may. So, first of all, there are priests who will say, I prefer that you call me by my first name, Father Dave, Father Rick. There are priests who say, I prefer that you call me Father Smith or Father Jones. My first response, Dave, is I think we should also always respect the person's preference, right? So I often ask people, how do you pronounce your name? Because I want to pronounce it correctly. That's out of respect for the person. So out of respect for the priest, I think we respect what they prefer to be called. Now, that having been said, I think there's a lot of considerations some of our listeners and viewers may not have even thought of. So, for example, we should always be respectful. But what if there's two priests in the same parish who have the same last name? Maybe there's two Father Millers working in the same parish. Would it be disrespectful to call them by their first names? I don't think so. What about the international priest who is in my parish, whose last name, perhaps to an English speaker Native American, or excuse me, not a Native American, an American, it might be impossible for me to pronounce because I'm not from the Indian culture. So it's easier for me to use the first name and the priest is not disrespected. So would I disrespect him by using his first name? Not at all. It's actually the most respectful thing to do. I can share with you that in Europe, it's often not different in the sense that they have their own culture, and oftentimes their culture is to use the first name of the priest. When I worked at the Vatican, I can tell you, even the ushers, the laymen and women, or the consecrated religious, they would call me Don Daniele. They used my first name. It was just the custom and the practice in the office for those people to use a priest's first name. So I think it's important to say, what is the most respectful thing to do? What does the priest himself prefer that you use? And I think that's the most respectful thing.
All right. Thanks, Bishop.